We're here in Rio de Janeiro, and I guarantee you this will be an unforgettable experience as you get to taste the food, the culture, have experiences with the historical aspect of Brazil. That's right, one of the major parts of the African diaspora. And guess what? We want you to join us here in Brazil. The views are amazing, the food is spectacular, and the experience is unforgettable. And the only thing that's missing is you. Join us.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in, family. It has been a minute since I have been able to cover the beautiful and glorious president, His Excellency of Eritrea, President Isaias Afwerki. I love learning so much about this country that I've never, ever been to before, but inshallah, I hope to attend one day in the near future. Family, I love to reference him for so many different reasons, because as I studied this little country that I knew nothing about growing up, I began to understand that I was drawn to information I was learning about Eritrea because of its energy, its spirit that's attached to them. They have stood against a Western hegemony and white supremacy for many, many decades, under many sanctions, and under extraordinary pressure and schemes to sabotage their country from without by numerous different forces and entities. Yes. Well, I want to remind you, in the wake of all that is happening with Iran and Israel and the war and all of the drama and the tragedy that we know them folks are stirring up all over the planet. Talk black to me, somebody. This footage that has recently resurfaced, and I have actually referred to it in the past for a number of different reasons. It's very timely, because even in this clip that you're getting ready to see from many years ago from Al Jazeera, you will see that for the longest time, it appears that they have tried to make mischief with Eritrea, including some of the nations that's on the scene today. And I want you to listen to this clip. Watch this.
Was a senseless conflict instigated by the United States in the first place, for the record. And we went to arbitration, and arbitration was done almost 8 years now, 2002, and the decision was taken. And that decision is blocked by the United States. It's not blocked by Ethiopia.
Are friends with both Iran and Israel. How do you balance the two?
And that is another joke, because why would the United States impose arms embargo on Eritrea, a small country with very limited resources, and not impose sanctions on the alleged role of Iran in the region? How can you possibly appreciate the logic behind this position of the United States?
Okay, maybe you can clear up for us Iran's role in this region.
There is no role for Iran in this region. Eritrea is not for sale. Eritrea is not for sale. Not for Iran, not for Israel, not for the United States, for nobody.
If Eritrea is not for sale, then how do you justify providing arms for Hamas? And how do you justify providing arms
we
for...
don't even have any diplomatic relations with any Palestinian organization.
No, but you're allowing Iran to supply arms through Hamas through you. You also...
Where are the evidences? Do we need weapons from Iran? If we want to give it to anyone, we don't need weapons from Iran. We have enough, we have more than we need. We can arm 3-4 governments. We don't need weapons from Iran. We do not have the political will to work on behalf of anyone in this region, never.
And if it's not political will, then what is it? Because they are going through you, through Sudan.
There is no Iranian presence in this region.
But there is Iranian presence. They're helping you off Assab, and they've got a military base there. They're helping you with your oil refinery.
I would invite you to go to Assab and see. There is no refinery there. This is a joke. There is no refinery there.
Wow. Family, did you see that? This is a rare video. I believe it was from about 2010. And so time and time again, he shuts down the misinformation from this report. Now, first of all, let me say as a side note, one of the things that I've come to know that as I watch interviews with certain reporters, especially when they're interviewing internationals, and certainly here in the United States too, don't ever get that twisted, even if it's local or national. One of the things that I have learned that a reporter's job is, they're not really there to find the truth of nothing and to find out the facts of anything. In many cases, with so many media networks co-opted by governments in order to just push their own propaganda to keep the people asleep. One of the things that I've come to know is that the reporters are not there for investigatory reasons. That's meant to benefit the public. No, they're actually there as interrogators. Some of our world leaders are too sophisticated to entertain and to speak to a known intelligence agent, spy. So they put it out in the open like there's some major broadcaster that's just there to ask questions. When in fact, the hidden hands that's got the reporters, they're asking the questions, they're just trying to fish for information to see what you're up to. And time again, I believe that the great President Afwerki, His Excellency, very likely knows this. And he shuts them down every time. Talk black to me, somebody. Now, I'm really tripping watching and listening to this because they like to force a run on everybody for every reason. And he shuts down that relationship and her falsely accusing him of certain connections with even Israel. Yes? Now, the first part that you heard was him making it very clear that even in neighboring Somalia, the hand that's the mess maker and that's behind some of the conflict in the region is the United States. We should never lose sight of that. I was recently, in preparation for me covering this today, I found a more recent article that's not even quite a year old from the BBC. And in this article, it's a very lengthy article, and it's showing pictures of President Afwerki when he first took office and a more recent picture. And the headline says, 3 decades, one leader, how Eritreans had their hopes dashed. Now, this long article gives a whole lot of information, and some might even argue misinformation. But at the end, it's talking throughout the article, it's clearly saying he's been in power too long, he's older, and that basically he's just pimping the people. He's thrown away the Constitution, the governance, and all the things that he promised the people. But at the end, it says, the very last sentence, for now, however, Isaias remains firmly in control while Eritreans continue their long and anxious wait for change. First of all, there is no reason why anybody should believe that the BBC is going to properly cover what's happening in Eritrea or the United States, for that matter, or any United States publication or media outlet, the establishment media, that is. There is no reason to believe that y'all are only doing this and discussing this with the hopes of continuing to put pressure on that country and to frame a certain narrative, and let's just be honest, for invasion. Now, Vicky, is that too strong of a language to say invasion? No, I don't believe so. Invasion of their thoughts, thinking, and literally of their land. Because we know that Western governments like to use, for example, NGO organizations, they like to use charity and goodwill. And if that doesn't work, they like to use proxy nations. They like to use nations that are within proximity. And I believe, as he referred to earlier, that it's the United States that's causing the mess making with their neighbors to cause what? Instability in that region. And for me, in my estimation, is for a number of different geopolitical reasons that have to do with not only nations standing up against Western hegemony and white hegemony, but also because of the strategic and geopolitical benefits that those particular nations offer. And before I've ever heard of a Captain President Traore, and before many of these other leaders, not only on the continent of Africa, but around the world, there was the great His Excellency Isaias Afwerki. And may we never forget it. Shout out to this stalwart who exposed and shut them down long time ago from the very forces that's in the news today, some of the very nations that's at war today, and the mess making that the West had everything to do with, and her Western allies. He shut it down. And may we continue to not only pray and trust and believe for protection for the nation, but may we stand with them boldly. Yes? I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. My name is Vicky Dillard, beloved. Be sure to follow my work at VickyPlanet.com. That's my website. Be sure that you scroll down to the end of my website, input your email information. That way you're notified about all the yummy things I've got going on. I can't wait to see you again.